Welcome back to the Surf Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Frampton. We have a special episode. This episode, we have three guests. Of course, we have Taylor Knox, the legendary Taylor Knox, coming back on the show. We have Dr. Michael Rintala coming back on the show. And for the first appearance, we have Dr. Tim Brown. He's one of the co-medical directors of the WSL and a treating physician there as well. And these three gentlemen, plus Ron Rathburn, who was a previous guest on the show back in episode 57, the founder of Keely Meditation, these four gentlemen are getting together for a mind and movement masterclass, longevity tools to think, move, and feel better throughout life, which is happening in Southern California in Carlsbad on November the 16th, 2024. An event I wish I could make it to. And to find out more and to book tickets to that, you can go to rintalamovementdesigns.com, and of course a link in the show notes and on the website to go straight to that. But following is the next best thing. We get to hear from Taylor Knox, Michael Rintala, and Tim Brown in this episode. And you can also go back and listen to Taylor Knox's first appearance in episode 31 and 46. He appeared as well for a more detailed and deeper interview with Michael Rintala and DNS. You can go back to episode 50. And this will be Tim Brown's first appearance on the show. But if you're a surf nerd, you would have heard the name Tim Brown before. He's been one of the treating physicians and the medical director of the WSL for quite some time. And he's also developed his own treatment stuff. He works very holistically with clients. He has a huge resume. You can go to TB Sports Care. That's at TB Sports Care on Instagram to find out more about Tim. I will have links in the show notes for more stuff about Tim as well. So he will be the first interview in this episode. I was going for a surf last week and wanted to do a double session. So I had two wetsuits in the car, and my flat rock wetsuit was already wet. So I slipped on one of my other suits, and I hadn't worn anything else apart from my flat rock wetsuit since I got it. But putting this other wetsuit on made me realize just how hard it is to put on other wetsuits. And it's another little bonus I noticed about these flat rock wetsuits. Not only are they ultra comfortable and warm, but they're so easy to put on and to take off. It saves time. And if you want a discount on a brand new Flat Rock Guaranteed for Life wetsuit, use discount code MASTER15. That's MASTER15 at checkout. You can go to flatrockwetsuits.com.au. Link for that is in the show notes, of course. And I will now fade in my conversation with Dr. Tim Brown. We ease into this conversation with a little bit of talk about Neil Young. Neil Young on, does it say Zuma Beach underneath?
Oh yeah, one of my patients, one of my good friends actually, and super honored to somehow fall into his life and be part of his tour and part of his life actually in his wedding and all that stuff. He married an actress named Daryl Hannah, who my wife grew up with. They're both actors. And so she got together with Neil, and all of a sudden now we're sharing wives and husbands.
Not literally, I hope.
No.
Oh, it's such a nice part of the world. I surfed Zuma Beach every day for 4 years, so.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah, it's what caught my eye.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, did you run into Bob Dylan out there too?
No, I never did. No. I ran into Anthony Kiedis and Flea. And
yeah.
And Coldplay, Chris Martin was out surfing Point Doom every day with no shirt on in the middle of winter.
No way, really?
Yeah, Mike D. I think the D stands for douchebag, by the way. He would just drop in on anyone. But, you know,
Yeah, there's always one or two
there's
of
always,
those.
yeah. I never liked the Beastie Boys anyway. So, were you treating Neil like on his tour? Is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, yeah. I've been working with him for the last, I don't know, 12 years or so. And, you know, just such a great honor just to be in the same room, let alone, you know, get close to him and find out a little bit about what makes him tick and watch his process of him writing. And, you know, he's just one of us, man. He's just he's a surfer without a surfboard. You know, he has the same mentality, and he's always looking for the next great ride, whatever that may be. And, you know, such a great champion for human rights and nature and the earth in general. So it's not hard to get wrapped up into his groove for sure.
Yeah. So, in what capacity? Like, and from a body work, like keeping his body in check capacity, is that what you're working with him?
Yeah, kind of an overall. You know, we become, you know, as part of our talk here that we're doing with the boys, but you know, we become the long-term physical manifestation of what we eat, think, and do, and there's no way around it. You know, and so looking at all the things he does on a regular basis from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed, what are the things that he could do to amplify his life, to amplify the things he loves to do? And like, you know, what are the best nutrients to keep his inflammation down? You know, as we get older, we get a lot of chronic stuff, and he's you know, not getting any younger. So he's almost 80. And so he wants to be, you know, his mind he's a teenager. You know, he wants to get out there and jam and play with the boys, and whether that's jamming in the barn or you know, swimming laps or whatever it might be. He's down. He realizes how that the body's a temple, you know, and you really, really have to respect it as best you can. And he had a couple rough years back in the day, you know, back in the 60s and 70s when there were just no limits on, you know, experimenting with your mind and body. You know, he rode that wave, so to speak, and
Yeah.
and you know, has a lot of great wisdom from it. But he wants to keep active. He wants to keep his attitude alive and really relate to things everybody else can. And so he's a good dude, good man.
I mean, obviously he's still passionate about like that. He wants to, when he does get on stage and perform, he wants to do it well.
He's a grunt, like, you know, he's like me, probably you too. I got a fucking problem. Okay. I like to surf a lot. And I've never caught enough waves ever. And so that's him with music. And it's just great to see those parallels and the passion, you know, that comes from it.
Yeah, and I think it alludes to something which a lot of us sometimes don't realize. We might think, oh, Neil Young, he's just a talented musician who just, you know, he can just sit down and sing and pick up a guitar whenever he wants. But there's actually a lot that goes on behind it. And there's, you know, their whole lives are dedicated to making sure that the songs are good, the performance is right, the singing on pitch, the body's connected when they do it. They probably don't even eat for, you know, 6 hours before they're due to sing because of the way that it might affect there's so much that goes on behind that. And that's the same for surfers, which is what sort of, you know, why you're here on this show. The surfers, they have that same mentality. We think they're just these talented athletes that just go out and surf, but there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes. And I spoke with Taylor yesterday, and he said that whenever he was on tour, and whenever he goes to an event nowadays, every single athlete just wants to be treated by you. Everyone's like, where's Tim? My body, I need Tim. Why is that?
Well, that's just super kind. I think, you know, I've been there for a minute. In fact, I think I sent you a couple pictures today.
Yes. Just
to give you some flavor of kind of where it started. You know, I graduated from chiropractic college in 1983, in December 1983. And in 1984, I got asked to work at the TDK Gotcha Pro, ASP Pro at Sandy Beach and on Oahu in Hawaii. And that was kind of the beginning of the end, so to speak, for me. the beginning of falling in love with the other side of surfing, the preparation for surfing, the recovery from surfing, the aspirational pieces of surfing. I got, put front and center with some of the best athletes in the world and was asked to work with them. And I'm just out of school, and I don't know about a lot of docs, but when I got out of school, I had all this education, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was a surfer. I was an often injured ex-athlete, but it takes a lot of time. That's why they call it a practice. I mean, it takes a lot of repetitions to understand the human condition and how to approach it and how to speak the language so that you're not just sounding like, you bought a lot of 29-cent words. You want to sound, the master educator is able to teach a 6-year-old kid something. They're able to teach that kid something that the kid can repeat it back. And so for me, it's been a lifetime goal, at least career-wise, to be able to break my big, long words down into words that are easily digestible, and they're going to be meaningful in the long term. So I think that maybe that's part of it. And then, of course, just being around probably longer than a lot of guys, to help these athletes. I, started working with, guys that were riding single fins basically, and then the thruster came out, and, that was kind of the beginning of my sports medicine. And so you've seen surfing change so much since the 80s. It's been just wild. My inspiration, Jerry Lopez, you can see my bolt board behind me and my poster of Jerry behind me there, him surfing out in front of his house. That was my inspiration. And so it continues to drag me along with it, as well as, seeing all the inspiration coming from the new kids in town that are just mind-blowing athletes that have decided to take surfing on instead of going into the ball and stick sports, and have just lit the sport on fire. I mean, what's next? What are they going to do next? I don't know. All I know is it's not the same sport I started with. That's for darn sure. The other thing, I'm a surfer. I grew up surfing. My dad was a surfer. And I think speaking the language and understanding the nomenclature and know when to keep your trap shut and just be humble is really important. And I think if the surfers get a load of that and they see that, then they're a lot more comfortable with you as well. And they're more curious about what makes this guy tick. And so I think just living the things that I talk about is probably the most powerful example, as opposed to speaking a lot of words.
So when this mind and movement seminar that you're involved in that's up and coming, what's some of those lessons that you've learned through that journey that you hope to impart to the everyday athlete who's going to come along to see this and participate?
Yeah, I think, we go back to those three things again. If we're talking about what you eat, it's talking about the foods that give you energy, not foods that you eat for pleasure. And what are those foods? And, how much of them should you have? So understanding your diet preferences and the things that you really need to do have to come together. And we get a whole new body on the inside every year. Our body's constantly dying off and remaking itself. And we get a chance to dictate what those cells look like. Do we want to have fast food McDonald's cells, or do we want to have these juicy, quality, hydrated, high energy cells? And so for me, especially as time goes on, I want to get rid of the former and really latch onto the latter, those cells that are going to make my cells when I'm almost 70. So when I get to 70, I want those cells to be as bright and shiny as possible. And we have the ability to do that. And it's all based upon choice and education. So teaching people how to do it without making it complex is really kind of my job. And I think that you go through and see a lot of these trends coming through training and coming through what we wear and what we eat and how we breathe and all that stuff. It all comes back to the basics. It always seems to swing back to the basics, the primal food thing and all this stuff, that goes on for trends. And I think it has its value especially for some people and what their needs are, but it always comes back to the basics. It never really gets away from that too far. So eating the right carbohydrates, the right fats, the right proteins, cutting things out of your diet that are on our planet that we were meant to eat. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a fan of moderation. I lean into the vegan vegetarian side of things, and so that's kind of my drift that I go into. But some people, my NFL guys and whatnot, that really want to put on a lot of weight and stay thick and kind of be in that old school, I just make sure that what they're eating is as clean as possible and as easy for the body to process and absorb as possible too. So it comes down to, what we call the biopsychosocial. That means, where are you from, and what did your parents do, and how did you grow up? All those things make a big difference too. So you don't want to come in and change somebody 180 degrees to make them better, to make them do what Kelly's doing or do what Mick's doing or those guys. It's you really have to find your own niche, and you really have to find your own rhythm and synchrony. And it's the same thing for the mind, as far as keeping people in the moment. That's our goal. That's where life is lived. You can't be happy unless you're in the moment. So for me, happiness is my goal. So I had to figure out how am I going to live my life in that pocket? How am I going to make sure that I'm planning for the future and that I'm learning from the past, but that I spend the predominant amount of time where life is lived. And that's right here, right now with you. And so being able to have that mindset so that when you do find those things that you love, those peak experiences, those things that we really live for, who's not going to want to maximize those moments? And so, that mental part is key. And then, and the doing part, what do you do all day? How do you prepare yourself for surf and for life and for business and all that stuff? What do you do? What are the shapes that you put your body in all day? Because that really has a whole bunch to do with how I'm going to recommend any kind of training. How much time do you spend on your devices, at the desk, watching TV, sitting on the couch? Those things, your body will mold to that. Your body, we adapt. Like I said, a whole new body every year. If you want to spend a year on the couch, guess what you look like at the end of the year? It look like you spent a year on the couch. Your body's folded forward, everything's contracting. So, we are highly specific to adapting to our environment. And so we want to make sure that if I'm looking at your environment, what do you do? What's your day look like? What kind of bed do you sleep in? What kind of chair are you in? And how much time do you spend in it? So I recommend everybody spends a lot of time on the floor. That is the thing. If we look at what we lose as we get older, we lose the ability to get off the fucking floor. Excuse my friend. But I really want to emphasize that. We become afraid of the floor. And that's an issue. So spending time on the floor makes you get up from the floor and makes that less fearful for you. And I know that's going from one extreme, surfing, to, okay, now we're starting to end life here, but that's the truth. And we become fearful of moving. So movement, therefore, is life, and life is movement. So everything that I do kind of always spirals back into movement. And spiral is a big thing too. Not only does spiral make up the waves, but it's how our bodies are formed. It's how there's a number of system in the body called the Fibonacci sequence. And it's also known as the golden ratio or sacred geometry. It's kind of how the universe is made up. And we are part of that universe. And guess what? We're made up of the same thing. And that's vibration and frequency and energy. Everything organic in the universe has those three principles. And so that's what we're made up of. So I'm really into looking at that, the dynamics of healing with that in mind. How does our frequency change and we drop in our health, our immune system drops, our body's not able to handle the stress it was before. And then what do we do to vibrate it back into life? And you'll be seeing a lot of those things come out in the near future about how vibration, key frequency into vibration, like your nerves vibrate at a different frequency than your muscle does. And your organs, heart, lung, liver, they all have their own frequencies. So the way that we keep the frequencies up is to be in good environment, have a good mindset, and hydrate. Because if you don't hydrate, you can't vibrate. So I see three things that happen in people, three relatively simple things everybody can do for free to enhance their life starting today. And that's to make sure that you've hydrated half your body weight in ounces, I would say sleep is the other big deal, right? You got to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It's compulsory. You have to do it. And you have to learn how to make it high quality sleep too. Because when you're sleeping, your brain's scrubbing itself. It's going through all these different wave patterns in your brain to clean itself up and flush stuff out of there so you can get ready for the next day. So having a high quality of sleep is really, really important. And then the third thing is just breathing right, nose breathing, diaphragmatic breathing. I mean, those three things, if I could turn the world onto that and just deliver and say, hey, here's the most special thing that you can do, I know it would elevate, it would raise all the ships in the harbor. You know, it would elevate everybody's life, everybody's vibration, everybody's attitude, and all that stuff. And I know that's highly simplistic, but we've got to start somewhere. And so that's a great way to start with one's health, is just looking at those three things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You alluded to the vibrational stuff, and it sounds like you've been following some interesting leaders within the health and fitness space who aren't yet mainstream, who seems like you predict them to be. Jack Cruz comes to mind. I don't know if you're onto what he's been doing that for a long time, but his stuff's starting to come to the forefront. And anyone else that we should be looking at in that space for the nerds out there?
Well, there's some cool products that are coming out with frequency in mind. One is Nuix. It's called Nuix Technologies, and that is a STEM machine that vibrates and uses different frequencies to create different changes in the body. Like they'll set a frequency to lengthen muscle. I've never seen a muscle stem that does that before. So as I'm doing a yoga class or gymnastica naturale, whatever I'm into, and I'm trying to gain mobility, these things will accentuate whatever I'm doing physically in there. They'll make it happen that much faster, because as you're doing the actual mechanical stretch or movement, it's sending in the vibration that's specifically tuned for those fibers. And when the body gets that information, it yields to it way quicker. And so that's a really cool thing. There's another really cool machine I used at the US Open of Surfing last week. We had like 35 doctors out there, and I met this one group that said, hey, I want to introduce you to this machine. And they told me about the concept of it. I said, gosh, if you could bring one out, man, let's have it in the tent. And so they have this thing called Shift Wave, and it's a chair that you sit in, and it's probably, I don't know, it's 12 to 15 grand. So it's not cheap, but the experience that you have in it is just unbelievable. You sit in this chair, and then you put on headphones and you put on a mask so you can't see, so light's blocked out. And it just starts guiding you through this meditation of breath, different types of breath work, though, not just singular breath work, to elicit different responses in your body. So there's one that in particular I'll tell you about. It's called Ride the Tiger. It's this 25-minute program where they take you through a halo jump. Like you've never jumped, you've never parachuted, but they take you through the breath work that a halo jumper, that's high altitude skydivers that do it in the military and so forth. Mm-hmm. But they're diving from miles out of a plane, miles up in the air, and they're going through this atmosphere where they got no oxygen. So they hyper oxygenate you with this oxygen program, with this breathing program, before they put you into this. They have you do the halo jump into this jungle where there's this tiger that you have to befriend. So you have to calm yourself, yet keep yourself intense. And so they take you through a breathing program that does that. And I mentioned that program because Cleland, who just was in the Olympics from Mexico, and then he was at the US Open, just won the US Open. We turned him on to that the first day of the US Open. He was riding the tiger every day, twice a day, and ended up winning the comp. And so it just kind of tells that story of, here's a guy who's come in to the competition, probably pretty fatigued from coming back from, the Olympics and having that whole experience, that emotional experience along with the physical one. And now he's found this little button that he can push to get his vibrations back up, his energy up, his focus up, because different vibrations will either mellow you out by putting you into the parasympathetic mode or heighten everything and put you in the ready state. So that's kind of what this machine does. It plays between those two variances and gets you ready for whatever thing you're getting into, whether you got to go give a speech or you're going to go for a surf or you want to go take a nap.
Wow, really interesting. That's cool. I have to.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and the thing, the most basic thing I can think I'd talk about really quickly is called tapping, which is a really old and ancient way of healing where they tap on certain parts of the body to get a response. And of course, that's vibrational.
Mm-hmm.
So it's around us. You know, the negative vibrations are car engines, plane engines, train engines. Whenever we sit in a car, we're degenerating. Same with an airplane. Besides being up in a microwave, you're also vibrating. So unfortunately, those vibrations are not good for us. So there's some vibrations that are good, some that aren't. Those that are in the transportation industry retire early, often because of the damage that vibration has done to the system.
Yeah, I mean, sound healing comes to mind, of course.
Yeah, there's a product I want to just mention it real quick called Now. I don't have anything to do with these products, but I use them with my athletes. NOW, capital NOW, sound therapy. And there's these two little speakers you put right next to your ears as you lay back, and it takes you through 3 minutes of sounds. And these sounds are all different frequencies that take your brain through all the different waves. And oftentimes when we're stressed out or we're overcooked, our brain sticks into one pattern. And it's got like 6 different waves that it needs to go through for all its processes. And so this sound therapy takes your brain through. It's involuntary. It just goes on. And at the end of the 3 minutes, you've had physiologically a 30-minute deep meditation. I don't know about you, Michael. Meditation's tough for me to sit down and give it 45 on a daily basis, if we're being honest, right? But if you can't give up 3 minutes to get your mind right, then you probably don't really want your mind right. So I do the 3 minute thing, oftentimes multiple times during a day, and it's just wonderful. And you can't believe it when you experience the first time, because it's so simple. And the chemistry that you feel change in your body after doing this is, it's drug-like, because that's what's happening. Brain chemistry is being released into your body, and you actually feel it.
Yeah. I struggle to do long meditation. I do the Keeley 5-minute meditation. That's
beautiful.
Yeah, and I use sound as well. You feel your bone, you feel at certain frequencies. You feel your bones vibrate differently, and different parts of the body vibrate. Which, of course, even from a pure neurological perspective, that just increases your basic body awareness.
And that's everything, right? We want to bring that awareness out. It's talking to us all the time, and what we have to do is learn how to adjust the volume. The people that are really, on with their body, the Jerry Lopez, the Kellys, et cetera, the Johns, the Micks, those guys really have a keen ear, and they listen to the whispers before it becomes a conversation, before it becomes a scream. When it's a scream, you're injured, but your body's always talking to us. And like when you walk by, like in your house, and you're walking by a bottle of vitamin C for some day, the last 3 days you walk by it and you see that, you're cognizant of it. There's a reason for that. You might want to maybe suss out and take some of that, because your body's always giving you messages, and it becomes, that ability to become wise and to have wisdom through experience, to start recognizing these things. And so, I've already been through a bunch of trips around the world. The sun's gone around a few times in my life. And so anything I can do to share some of that stuff, which is what you're doing too, Michael, such a good job of it. And really appreciate your perspective as well, because, there's so much that we can either choose to get out of life or leave behind. And I just, I've had the opportunity to be around a lot of people that have gotten the most out of life. And I want to share those experiences.
Yeah, no, thank you. It sounds awesome. I mean, surfing is a long-term relationship. It's sort of a thought that I've been thinking about recently. And the more, like any long-term relationship, the more committed you are to it, the more you're going to get out of it. Of course, you're going to have challenges. Whilst, if you want to improve a personal or romantic relationship, you might go to a marriage counselor, and you might, do some self-help reading or something like that. But when it comes to surfing, you got to keep your body and your mind and your diet in check in order just to keep getting off the floor, because that's what a pop-up is, right? Essentially.
That's it. Yeah, I saw on your site, you're into the pop-up, and that's something that I'll share with you too. That's what happens when we get older. We lose the pop-up, right?
Yeah.
And it was really, really encouraging for me to see you doing a reverse pop-up, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, that's what I do with sports. If a kicker's got a kicking injury, I take him through the reverse motion of a kick to help him heal. And it's the same thing with surfing. So that reverse pop-up that you've got going on the other side of the planet here is just bitching to see that you're doing the same stuff, because I really believe it's true. You just reverse what's happening in the nervous system, and the body can really help to repair itself.
Yep.
So I think that was really cool stuff that I saw.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to progress into it, and also reverse pop up with the opposite leg as well to keep the body a bit more symmetrical.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Because there's nobody that's ever been balanced, and I mean, for my first 35 years, I taught balance until I got the honor to work with Kobe Bryant quite a bit, and ended up meeting up with him about 3 months before he passed again. And he was working with us with the U.S. surf team.
Oh, really?
And so he brought in and wanted to talk story, and talked about balance with Kobe. And one of the girls was trying for the surf team, I remember, asked, well, Kobe, I too want to be the best in the world at what I do. She was a water polo player and Olympian, and now she wanted to be a surfing Olympian. And so she goes, but I'm having a problem with my family sharing, trying to become balanced, between my family and my work and my job and my sport that I want to be the best in the world at. And she goes, well, Kobe, I know you want to be the best in the world. How did you balance that out? And he goes, look, you have to do one thing first and foremost, and that's lose the word balance. And I just went, what? And he goes, there is no balance in greatness. If you want to be good, you can be balanced. But if you want to be great, you'll never be balanced. That is the sacrifice you make for greatness. Mm-hmm. And I just was completely blown away, because I've been training people for balance, those three things that I talked about. And then as I learned more about greatness, there's a great book called Relentless by Tim Grosvenor, and it speaks to those athletes that are relentless. And Kelly Slater's a great example in our sport of doing whatever it takes to be better, to never be satisfied with the job that you did today, because tomorrow's a new day. And so, not the healthiest for all of us to get into that mindset. I will promise you that. But it's great for me working with parents that have kids that they are aspiring to be great at what they do. And I don't care if that's a musician or an athlete or an artist or an academic. If you want to be great, you're going to be different. The sacrifices that you make to be great will not allow you to go to all the birthday parties and go to prom and be popular with this or that group. You are going to be solely focused on greatness, and greatness has one lane. And so that to me has been a great lesson, to be able to talk to the parents with intelligence and say, this is not just coming from me. This is coming from some of the greatest of the greatest. And if you want your kid to be great, you're going to sacrifice your kid's normalcy. And if that's cool with you, then, I don't know if it's cool with your kid, but that's what it takes to be great. So I not only have a tremendous amount of respect for those that are great. Neil Young is great. He's a little odd, sorry, Neil, but that's what greatness requires, is you have to go off. So I don't know why I got onto that tangent.
No,
but I just
like
wanted
that.
to share it with you.
I like that. And it's good for us as the average athlete to realize that and just set our goals to just be good or better. But what I do like about that is because these the great ones, the pioneers, let's call them, they go so into it and so far into it that they help people like you who work with that level. You can then translate and figure out what works the best, because you're working with the great, the obsessed, and you can translate that into what can we take out of that and put into an everyday life. For example, it's like, well, you and I, we love surfing. We do want to be better. We want to age gracefully and keep surfing, what can we learn from those people about what to eat? Because we eat anyway. We're going to spend time with meal prep and choosing the right foods. So how do we improve what we're already doing? And we probably already do some other exercise other than surfing, whether that's running or going to the gym or whatever it is. So how can we improve and refine that so that we can be better at surfing and improve our long-term relationship with surfing? So I think good and better is great for us. We can let go of the greatness, because you're right. It takes.
It's progress, perfection. When you're looking for perfection, you take a lot of the fun out of it. And for me, the fun better be in the process with regards to surfing. You're going to be you'll be a bummed out guy all the time, or gal. So the process has to be enjoyable. You have to really love that process. And so for me, that includes a lot of laughing, a lot of fun, along with following the examples of the Kellys, the Johns, and Micks, all those guys that have come kind of a little bit before the group that's coming up now, and emulate them. Follow the things that you can, and just follow their example and mimic it. Mimic perfection. It's not a bad thing at all. You've got to practice to make yourself better. You've got to go on this journey that's going to put you into some discomfort. If you're not in discomfort from time to time, you're not growing. And so doing some of these things that the best of the best do is going to not only improve your game, but also get you going in that direction, and get your lifestyle and your habits going into routine that the best of the best have. Because that's what another piece of it is. And again, you spoke about the Kile meditation, one of the best meditation practices I've ever seen. In practice, I mean, you can get it. You can become, you can get a meditation the first time that you try it. And that for me is just really wonderful. So I'm stoked that both Matt and Taylor are going to take the time to teach that to a lot of people in our upcoming little seminar here, because meditation, they'd be able to come into focus, to be able to drop off all the noise, and just be, is an education that everyone needs to graduate from.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly it. I mean, the Mind and Movement Masterclass is, you've got the best of the best all coming together. You've got yourself, you've got Michael Rintala, Taylor Knox, Matt Griggs. I think even Ron himself is coming along as well at some point.
Yeah.
And just getting together and imparting enough for the average athlete to take away and improve their lives. I think that's a beautiful philosophy, and I wish I was still in America and I could come along.
Hey, we're going to record that, everybody. Happy to send it to you.
Okay, cool. Will that be available for those who can't make it as well later on down the line?
Yep. Yes, it will.
Okay, awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to give us a little bit of a taste of what is up and coming, and for sharing your stories. Thank you so much.
Absolutely a pleasure and an honor. Nice to meet you, Michael, and thank you for all you're doing to elevate those that are in our sport, and to make it more enjoyable, and so that people can surf for life.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. Just keep surfing.
Word.
So you've got this thing coming up, the Mind and Movement Masterclass. Is this the second time it's happened, or how many times have you run it?
Well, it is the second time. You're right. We did it last year in a pretty small place, just to kind of feel it out, see, how the turnout was. And so the turnout was great. It sold out pretty quickly. Of course, now that I'm an ambassador with Viore, I've been doing, they built a new headquarters here with a beautiful, outdoor amphitheater at their headquarters, and it has a screen and stuff. So we're gonna do it there, and it'll hold 3 times as many people. We're thinking, maybe 100 or 80. We're not sure what's the count will be, but we're pretty excited about partnering up with them, and because that's what they're all about. And then we'll be bringing in some of their employees as well. And it's been beautiful. I mean, for me, it's after 3 decades of being, traveling the world and working with the best, I've I've looked to guys. I always watched where guys wanted to go and who they wanted to work with. And Tim Brown was always the guy that everyone was looking for at the contest when he was working. And when I saw the other physicians watching Tim as well, I'm like, okay, well, this guy's on to some, something here. He obviously is, people are watching him for a reason. So he'll be there, and he's going to be talking about diet and movement and nutrition and sleep and stuff like that. We're going to have my trainer, Mike Rintala, there. He's if one of the best, if not the best in America for dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, DNS.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a doctor, a chiropractor, and that's who I've been training with for the last 7 years, about 7 years.
Yeah.
So I really, really have enjoyed working with him. He's got a really evenly keeled demeanor. And now that I'm so deeply into DNS, it's just been like a fantastic journey of learning how to move and what my body, what I didn't think it could do anymore, it's doing again, which it's just kind of, you turning back the clock a little bit, which is strange. You just don't know if it can ever happen. Sometimes you're like, am I just a fool right now? I'm barking up the wrong tree. And so far the tree keeps giving. So I'm going to keep going up this tree with him for a while. And of course, myself and Matt will be talking about surf technique, Keeley meditation, the kind of the journeys that we've been on with the Keeley meditation and why and how we found it and why we stuck with it. And then the founder of the Keeley Foundation, Ron Rathbun's going to show up, and he's going to speak and answer questions as well. So be good. We're going to have a lot of like cool prizes and giveaways and raffles and, good food. So it'd be a good day.
I mean, you're a perfect icon of that sort of surf performance and health longevity. So is it sort of an accumulation of that and to teach what you've learned over the years to a wider audience, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's always been a passion because when I went to France or South Africa, I'd always be looking for the best guys, trainers, masseuses. I would ask the local guys that lived there, like, where do you train and who do you get to work on your body? And so I was constantly, I don't know, it's just something I've been naturally interested in. I want to learn how you can fix the body yourself, or at least find people that can help you, guide you, in that direction. And I just believe that like 4 years or 4 decades of surfing around the world and traveling, it really gives you an insight of like 100 million people may say this thing over here is the best thing you've ever done in your life. And then you might find some guy that trains differently in Africa that no one's ever heard of and go, no, I don't know. This guy over here that no one's given attention to actually is onto something. He's like a mad scientist in his own little world over here. And just because he doesn't have the followers, I really believe in what he's doing. So, that's for me, it's been like there's a golden thread of truth from everything I've come across, and I've come across a lot. And I'm for me, this is assembling the dream team and hopefully, would like to add some more people to it as well, down more modalities as well down the road. So it's kind of just the beginning. This is kind of just the beginning of the vision that Tim and Mike and Matt and I have, is we want to create a community where the people, the bright minds that, really help people around the world get together. And because, if you ever meet anyone and they're like, yeah, I have all the answers, then that'd be a big warning sign to me, because no one does, and I want to get all these guys together in the same room and talking and hearing their opinions and what they think. And, how would you go about a torn hamstring? Well, Tim might go about it one way and Mike might go about it another way. I love how each one attacks it. So that's kind of been, just my thought with putting this little team together is something we can do moving forward.
Have you had any injuries recently?
Yep.
Hamstring.
Since I saw you, I tore my adductor in one leg. I tore a hamstring in the other leg.
Oh.
And now I'm kind of dealing with a real sore hip. But my knee has come back amazing, which has been a beauty. That thing really tortured me for like a decade. 3 surgeries, the last one and the training I did worked out well. Of course, with my style of surfing, my back leg has gotten a lot of use. There's a lot of wheel, and I don't think I need surgery at the moment, but it's something I need to take care of for sure.
Having that turnaround of your knee, what do you put that down to?
Well, first of all, this new technology that came out for surgery, where they can do a partial knee replacement. That just, and like, Dr. Warren Kramer did my surgery. He does a lot of guys that, go through injuries in surfing. Most of the top dudes go to him. But he goes, hold on. Like, you might be a perfect candidate. There's this robot. I'm getting this robot. And I was like, a robot? That sounds kind of sketchy, and he's like, no, it's great. Human hands can shake a little bit. They can, the human eye, there's just room for error with a machine. There's no error. So anyway, I went in and I did it. And I was like the 9th person, I think. Yeah. First pro surfer for sure. And the rehab is, you got to be really dedicated to rehab. And I was, and it's turned out to be great. I've gotten way more out of my knee than I ever dreamed about.
Oh, wow.
And I'm living pain, and it's pain-free.
Partial knee replacement. So what, they just replace the cartilage? Or what do they replace?
Well, imagine, so my lateral meniscus wore out, which is the outside of your knee. So I got to be bone on bone, and then that was really painful. And, basically I couldn't surf. Yeah. So what they do is, it's kind of like they go in and it's like a router. They'll take a CT scan of your knee, your tibia plateau, so that the robot knows what it's working with. It kind of locks into the CT scan and your bone. And then it's like a router. It goes in there and just routers out the bone and puts in a titanium plate, and then a titanium plate above. So it's just 2 titanium plates that are rubbed together. So, there's no pain. They never wear out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Surgery. You don't need another surgery for the rest of your life.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's really cool. Because without that, my career would have been over a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm bone on bone now with my knee because I had ACL surgery, 20 years ago, and the cartilage finally worn out, so it's bone on bone. And the surgeon said, "Look, total knee replacement's the only option," but it turns out it's not.
The machine is called Mako, like Mako Shark, Mako, and they're using them a lot over here. I think they're actually starting to use them for hips as well.
The future is bright.
Yeah, a little scary, like what if the robot skitzes out or something? But no, it was a really good experience.
Oh yeah, and who helped you with the recovery and the rehab? Was that Mike?
That was Mike, and another friend of mine named Gino Stinko, and he does ART, which is active release technique.
Yeah, and
he's one of the top. He's definitely in the top 3 of the country. He's on the board and stuff. He's an instructor.
Yeah.
Currently traveling around with a golfer.
Yeah. So it's obviously, if there's no more friction from bone on bone, there's going to be less swelling, I assume.
There's no swelling.
There's no swelling at all.
Swelling up.
Oh wow.
No.
So does it feel better than your other knee?
It does. It feels, my knee hasn't felt this good in like 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My other knee's still good. It's fine. It's funny because it's all the issues are going on the right side of my body, which, that's my power leg. So it's, my left side of my body's great. I have no problems over there at all.
Funny. Oh, wow. Okay. There's probably a lot of listeners that won't be able to make it to this seminar. What can we leave? What's one piece of advice we can leave them with for surfing longevity?
Surfing longevity. I mean, I just did a little film with Viore called "The Body Follows the Mind," and it's true. How you heal is going to be how you feel. So you should feel good about your process and your rehabbing and your I really feel like, and people know this, that how stress can affect the body. And just think about, like, stress can be a little or extreme. but like your feelings and how you feel about what you're doing and how your life is going is also a big has a big determination on your healing. So I always tell people to like, don't be hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. It's not, beating yourself up isn't going to help. And it's definitely not the way to get better at anything. And I used to do that a lot, beat myself up. So I learned that, instead of beating yourself up, try to just focus on where you want to go in life. And you're going to have challenges, because we all do, and nobody's immune to that. That's for sure. But just always know that, like, when you find your center, it never has to do with anyone else. And it's something that, is very personal to you. So, try to look within for all your answers is what I'm trying to say. And I think when you can get your own blocks out of your own way, you'll find all the answers you're looking for.
I like that. And I think it was episode 34 where you and I first did this podcast, and we went into that in a lot more detail. So I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes for those listening. Awesome, Taylor. Well, thank you so much for coming back on to chat about this. And
thanks a lot too for having me on, Michael. Appreciate it.
What was the inspiration for being involved with the up and coming movement and mindful masterclass?
So it was kind of did you go to the one that Tim and I did, Tim Brown? We did
at Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was I forget what we called it. Mind and Mood, something similar. It was something masterclass. So we took that idea, and then just working with Taylor as like we should do something DNS surfing, which we did. We did some stuff. I've done some stuff with Tim Brown, and then we did last year we did another DNS surf with Taylor, and then Tim talked as well. But then we just had that this inspiration or idea. It's like, hey, why don't we combine the movement with the mind, the meditation, the Keely meditation. And so we had that idea of putting something together, and then we wanted to make it a little more surf specific. So we brought Tim Brown, which have you had a session with him yet?
Yes.
Or
podcast?
Okay.
Yeah, I had a good chat with him. Yep.
Yeah. He's a good chatter.
Yes.
So, we just like, okay, let's put it all together. And we did it last year around the same time, and we really enjoyed it. The people that were there enjoyed it. So we're like, okay, well, let's do it again. But this time the setting will be different. It'll be at Viore, their headquarters, which they have a nice like outdoor, like little kind of steps, like a stadium. They have a big screen we can use. So yeah, we're gonna make it happen for the second time.
Oh, cool.
Try to blend mind and movement.
Yep. It's when the more you learn about the human body and the human condition, I think the more you understand there isn't really much separation between the two.
Right. Yeah. I mean, with DNS, dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, the central nervous system is basically controlling the synergy, coordination, and timing of all the musculature to produce efficient movement. So, it's already part of the central nervous system, part of the mind. And then the big thing with Keely and being able to quiet or focus the mind, balance the autonomic nervous system. So you have sympathetic, parasympathetic, the better that's balanced, the better you can express the inborn motor patterns that we're all born with. And that's where the DNS, the dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, movement efficiency comes into it. So if you balance the mind, you balance the body, then you produce durability, longevity of movement quality. So yeah, having both is gonna be best for long term.
I see a lot of similarities because in a lot of ways, meditation is about, it's actually about doing less. It's about allowing the present moment to be louder than all of the other stuff. It's about taking away, and then DNS is kind of similar, right? It's about allowing efficient movement rather than you getting in the way of or trying to force anything.
Exactly. It's allowing the inborn hardwired motor patterns to express themselves. They're all in our subcortical region of the central nervous system. And if we can let them express themselves how they're supposed to be expressed, then the movement efficiency improves. So it's the one thing initially with DNS is usually when we assess, we'll assess the efficiency of the movement quality, efficiency or inefficiency. And then if we see compensatory or high threshold patterns of movement, which will get in the way of efficiency, then we give people things to do and train to quiet the compensatory or high threshold patterns, and then be able to express those inborn patterns. And when you're able to express those, it's like it's not the cortical function. You're not overthinking it. You're just expressing it, and then you're moving naturally without thinking about it. So yes, similarities with the goal of meditation.
Yeah, no, it's a good summary. And the thing I like before I did your course, I remember I think there was a group. I think it was DNS for surfing from memory.
Yeah.
I'd already done probably 50 one-on-one DNS sessions, and I'd done, I think, level 1, like the introduction course to DNS, and it was all very technical and quite heady, even for someone sort of coming from that health and fitness world. But what I really liked about the course with you and your wife is you guys just simplified it so much and made it was very practical. So I think there was even some people there who weren't from a health and fitness background that they could get it as well.
The goal with the mind and movement masterclass, it's more of that, like move, simplify it. Whereas the coursework, you dive deeper into the developmental kinesiology and central nervous system. And it can, especially when you're first taking courses, like the introduction can be a little bit overwhelming, but the ultimate goal is the movement, right? And teaching wise, for me, learning, if I can move and I can feel it, then I integrate it better. And so that's my style of teaching is, okay, let's move and let's feel it, and let's feel what we talk about with the coursework.
Yeah. I remember the photo of you guys had a couple of photos of, I think, Kelly Slater and John, just in a nice, relaxed, efficient surf stance. And then next to it was one of the DNS pictures of the infant. And
yes,
the correlations are just so obvious,
With athletes like that, the athletes that rise to the top and they're the top performers, they have that ability to express those inborn motor patterns on the subcortical central nervous system level, but they also have really good cortical function, meaning awareness, awareness of their environment. They can input information from the environment, process it, and then express what needs to be done to move within that environment. And so like Kelly Slater, John, other athletes, Michael Jordan, Roger Federer, you see the athletes that you watch them and they just move. It's like they move so effortlessly. And that's just that quality of the expression of those patterns. And that the athletes also that have that ability and have that efficiency, they also not only they move efficiently, but they have that ability to relax and be more efficient as to where they need to stabilize in order to conserve energy and again move with the efficiency. Versus you see athletes that rely more on the high threshold compensatory pattern, and you see tension. They still do well, but then they have to rely more on speed and strength. Whereas the really efficient movers, they make it look so effortless and they're so relaxed. And then with that, you see longevity and durability throughout their career.
Yeah.
So that's where, when we do the mind and movement masterclass, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be giving people tools movement wise to help them achieve that. But then also, with the Keeley meditation, we're going to be addressing the mind as well. And just as, if not more important.
Yeah. No, they go hand in hand. And then Tim obviously is going to be talking about nutrition and sleep and stuff as well. So it's very holistic.
Yes.
And if you want to get better at surfing, and if you want to surf until you're, in your 80s, then it really is that simple, is learn how to move better, really. I mean, surfing is movement, and the best surfers in the world move really efficiently. And you can even see in the background on the DNS poster behind you, for those that are watching, is the first image there of the baby lying down. I mean, that's a surfer paddling. Simple as that.
Yeah. Like right there, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Not the first image. That's the surfer paddling.
And here
popping up.
So yeah, that poster that represents so when we're first born, our central nervous system's immature, functionally and structurally we're immature. And as the central nervous system matures and our body matures, there's certain periods of time, there are developmental milestones where we can achieve different positions because we're expressing those inborn motor patterns. And so you see the infant, this is at 3 months right here. You have the ability to create a stable point through the trunk and pelvis. You can lift the head. You can start to look around, or you can lift your feet out of the base of support. But then as everything matures, you start to become more dynamic, and you can get to higher, more unstable positions as the central nervous system is expressing these inborn motor patterns as they are maturing. And eventually you're standing, and I think that position right there, that's the oblique squat. That's a common one when you pop up and you're on the board and you're maneuvering and surfing.
Yeah.
And the thing too, it's like if you look at the whole, this whole sequence from prone, that's kind of like your pop up, right? Your pop up, you come to standing, and then you're down into the position and maneuvering on the wave. So it's when the infant's going through this development, they're not thinking about put my foot here, put my hand here. They're just expressing the patterns that are facilitated at certain periods of time during that first 18 months of life. And if we develop in a healthy way, we have a healthy environment, those patterns we still have them up here. So as adults, we can still tap into that. We can still create that quality of synergy, coordination, and timing throughout the chains of movement. And And there's ways, again, with the specific exercises and the movements and the quality of support, where we can improve that expression. And then again, if we improve that expression, we improve movement quality, we create durability and longevity. And it's something where you can practice. It's like a movement meditation. And so a lot of the athletes that I work with, surfers and baseball and other athletes, the big thing that we do is we give them these series or the similar positions, but then being able to transition from one position to the next so that they're constantly reinforcing this ideal expression. Then when they get out, when you paddle out and you're popping up, that's expressing itself. And so you can use it. It's a great movement preparation for people to utilize to, again, in whatever their sport may be. And in this case, the focus will be more on the surf athlete.
Yeah.
So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, and I urge people to get along to it. There'll be links in the show notes to everything, and I would have done a big intro before this to explain it all. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Great.
Actually,
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Great to see you again.
Awesome. I got one another question for you while I got you on the phone, actually. What are your thoughts on vestibular and ocular training?
I think it's great. Yeah. Especially that's part of the somatosensory input. So input from the environment. The better that quality of input, the better you can process and provide optimal output. So, we talk about with the DNS and the central nervous system, those inborn motor patterns, but a huge factor is, again, your quality of somatosensory input and awareness, cortical function. So it's a great adjunct to the DNS work. And the one thing that I really enjoy about DNS is it's not something where it's like, stop doing that, just do this. You can integrate DNS concepts and principles into whatever you're doing, weightlifting, the visual training, the vestibular training. So it's a great, everything kind of works together. And the DNS is the fascia or the connection between everything that helps it all work together more efficiently.
Okay. Yeah, I've done the Dr. Cobb from Z Health. I've done his courses on ocular and vestibular. Is there any other resources in that regards you've come across or would recommend?
I've done those courses as well. I highly recommend that. There's some PhD students out of Prague School of Rehabilitation that are focusing on just what you described. And so I'm hoping in 2025 to get them over here and integrate the two. So stay tuned on that one.
Oh, cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
So adding some DNS thinking to Dr. Cobb's sort of work, is that what they're doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the Z Health, I really like it. I think there's some other resources out there. I think Posture Pro is another one. Yep. I can't remember the exact name, but I forget her name. But great integration with that training as well. I think it fits perfectly. They go hand in hand.
Posture Pro, they combine it with a lot of footwork as well.
Another huge thing to integrate. There's so many things to you can integrate and put together to help us, move better and feel better.
Yeah.
So
I know. Yes, there's a lot out there. You've got to find the time, but the body, and I urge everyone listening to head along and join in. The link's in the show notes. Again, Michael, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. I'll let you go.
Thank you.
I hope it don't turn away. I need a crowd of people, but I can't face them day to day. Though my problems are meaningless, that don't make them go away. I need a crowd of people, but I can't face them day to day. I went to the radio interview, but I ended up alone at the microphone. I went to the radio interview, but I ended up alone at the microphone. Now I'm living out here on the beach, but those seagulls are still out of reach. Went to the radio interview, but I ended up alone at the microphone. Get out of town. Think I'll get out of town. Get out of town. Think I'll get out of town. I head for the sticks with my bussin' friends. I follow the road, no, I don't know where it ends. Get out of town. Get out of town. Think I'll get out of town. 'Cause the world